ThaBoxingvoice.com, live here with Victor Conte. Victor, man, how are you? I've been wanting an interview for a long time. Obviously, every time something happens in the sport, your name gets brought up and people kind of go towards you for the information, right? You had a stance on the Phentermine. Can you explain to me what Phentermine does for an athlete?
It's called Phentermine.
Phentermine.
It's from the family of amphetamines. Very powerful.
Like methamphetamine?
Like methamphetamine, yes.
Okay.
And there's some very dangerous things that can happen. It increases your heart rate. It gives you an advantage because now it pumps blood throughout your system more quickly. It's also a central nervous system stimulant, so it's going to enhance reaction time. But it is dangerous. It is dangerous, and it really helps in terms of weight loss as well. So it's something that I was given to NFL players back in the Balco days. Some of the Oakland Raiders, I had them what's called Adipex P is the brand name. But Phentermine is something that is definitely a performance-enhancing drug. Some have claimed it's not, but it most certainly is.
You know, I try to defend you as much as I can, but I'm not like the...
If you own anything and you try to fight Devin Haney, guess what? Chances is you're going to get busted because we got Victor Conte on our team.
And that's exactly what I mean. Like, you know, people like to say, oh, but Victor Conte has whatever has, but no athlete that I know of has popped while on SNAC, right? No athlete that is taking SNAC has ever popped. The only indiscretion would be Willie Monroe, and I remember you coming out and saying, and he's saying that he bought
There's been a couple. Andre Berto, I hadn't seen him for at least 6 months because he went from SNAC down to Los Angeles. He was training at the 10 Goosen Gym and he popped his bicep. Then he had a long rehab period and after surgery, and then he went back to Winter Haven, Florida, and that's when he popped positive, but I hadn't seen him in like 6 months. So I had no connection with that. And Willie Monroe, same thing. He was in Rochester, New York. He was not at SNAC. And what he told me was that he went into one of these 7-Eleven type stores and bought one of these Extends or one of these libido enhancer type product. But I don't think he was ever suspended for that. I don't know. They did for whatever reason decide to not let him fight Charlo at the time. But he certainly didn't have anything to do with me.
And the reason I bring it up is obviously because you have of an opinion whenever someone does pop, and they try to, I guess, mute your opinion by saying that you yourself are dirty, but I just haven't seen any SNAC athletes that have popped. That being said, are we being naive to believe that the Canelo camp, these are all coincidences? One with Clenbuterol, now the other one with Phentermine.
Well, the Phentermine with Valdez is much more suspicious than Canelo because there have been a lot of elite athletes at the Olympic caliber that have tested positive for Clenbuterol and been exonerated. And as long as you have traceability from the restaurant to the slaughterhouse, like a third of the meat that comes out of the slaughterhouses in Mexico is contaminated and will cause a positive test. So what really changed my opinion about Canelo was when he agreed to step up and do a hair test. Because this is something that it's excretory, meaning it's like urine, but over a period of time. So if you could collect urine for 3 months and then mix it up and pour off a little sample and test it, that's would kind of get what you would find in a hair sample. So when it came back that it was consistent with contaminated meat and not with intent to cheat, that really, and he also, to mitigate things, got the receipts from the restaurant and traceability back to the slaughterhouse. I don't think that he was taking Clenbuterol with intent to cheat. Now, does that mean that I'm saying that he has not used performance-enhancing drugs? That's not what I'm saying, because there are things that he could do that would fly under the radar, so to speak, give you a competitive advantage, and be undetectable.
Wow. Now, with all your knowledge, I know you and Margaret Goodman are good friends, but are you part of VADA in any?
No, I'm not officially a part of VADA in any way.
Why not? With all the knowledge that you have, it seems like every time someone pops, I'm on your social media.
Well, I do routinely talk with her, and she'll get my input on different issues. And in the very beginning, when Vada was first founded, I did meet with her and Flip Homansky, and we did, discuss a lot of different contacts that I had, names that I gave her, doping control officers and Olympic caliber testing, and so I did give information that I think was helpful to getting Vada started way back in the 2011 timeframe.
Now, I remember when it first started, obviously Nonito Donaire was one of the spokespersons doing 365. We had a few other athletes do it. It's kind of died out. It's not a headline anymore. What is your opinion over less and less people coming out doing 365?
I'm pushing now for more and more people to do the testing. I have talked to Margaret about putting together a group of SNAC fighters, somewhere between 6 and 10 of my fighters, and enrolling them in a 24/7 365 program. It's not all that expensive for elite athletes, the guys that are making over $1 million a fight, like many of the athletes that I do. In the neighborhood of $20,000, you can do year-round testing. So I don't think that's...
Because people are under the impression one test costs $20,000.
That's completely misinformation. That's really misinformation.
So with $20,000, one fighter can be tested all year.
On average, that would be about probably 8 times a year. Now, it's not going to be every single month or every single week, or like Canelo and Caleb were recently tested, and it was, probably, I don't want to say weekly, but close to weekly, as opposed to this would be closer to monthly. So you're still in that pool, and they will come and target you and test you at times that you wouldn't expect. So it's certainly more difficult to circumvent the program if you're in a 24/7 365 program. What they do now is if they fight, in September, and then right after the fight, they get October, November, December, January, February, March. They get April. They got 6 or 7 months that they could use stuff, and then a couple months before a fight in May, they enroll in a time frame of testing. But what have they been doing for the previous 4 or 5 months? So currently, the way it's set up, you still can use stuff, and you're not in a testing pool, and that needs to be changed. And the first 2 fighters ever, you mentioned Nonito Donaire, the other one was Edwin Rodriguez. Those were the first 2 fighters that did 24/7 365 in the history of boxing, and both of them were sponsored by me.
See. So what's it going to take to get outside funding? Like, who's your ideal person or entity that could come in and supplement the finances for this?
It's got to be somebody that's bringing federal dollars, because you've got state commissions that all have different sets of rules and regulations, and even though VADA does very consistent testing, and they've got one set of rules and they test for all prohibited substances at all times, then you go to one commission like B.J. Saunders against Boo Boo Andrade, and they stripped him of his title and his $2.3 million purse, and the Massachusetts Commission upheld those results. Then you got the case in the tribal Arizona Commission, who let Valdez fight, and the same thing with Chavez. There was another thing there that he refused to be tested at the Wild Card Gym, and instead of that was the Nevada Commission. Instead, they jumped to the commission and took the fight to Arizona. So there are promoters are at fault here for enabling that sort of activity as well.
Well, Victor, man, I appreciate your time. Thank you so much, and hope to interview you next time. If you want to give out any social media or anybody can get your snack products, please.
People can follow the snack fighters. They just go to snac.com, SNAC.com.
All right, thank you so much.
Yo, if you enjoyed the video, feel free to hit the like, subscribe, and share. As always, if you want to support us to the next level, head over to the patreon.com/ThaBoxingvoice. We have tons of exclusive, from Border Wars, Entitled, betting shows, the list goes on and on and on. But in addition to that, if you guys have questions for fighters, trainers, and promoters, this is where you can submit them. We will run out, get these questions answered, and put it back on the show just for you guys. Appreciate it. Peace.